All right. If you're here to cancel me or get mad or flap in the comments about how boobs in a game is a bad thing, this is going to be a horrible video for you and you're going to be upset. If you're someone that understands that sex sells in a video game and that it's okay and that it's been like that in the beginning of time in any industry that's entertainment, movies, music, video games, then you're probably going to like this one. And this one's probably for you. Sex sells in a video game for some reason now is controversial. And I don't think it should be. And I don't think it is as bad as people make it out to be. I think it's a small minority that gets very loud, that is upset about this kind of thing. But that's actually not what we're going to focus on right now. We're just going to focus on the bigger aspect of sex sells in the video game industry as a whole. So back in the day, nobody complained about this kind of thing. We had Samus Aran, which was an amazing character that nobody even realized was a woman till the very end. But if you beat the game in a certain amount of time, she would explode into a little bikini. Now that was cool and everybody liked it. And I'm pretty sure part of the speed running and part of trying to get as fast as you could done the game was to see if you could get that achievement. Now, characters like Lara Croft, her polygonal tits were a big, big thing back in the day. Everyone thought it was cool. It was a big sex appeal. It didn't add to the character in a way that if you would have taken it away would have made the character any less cool. That character's badass, like I've said before, whether she's wearing a trench coat or a bikini. But it was part of the appeal. It was part of the branding of the character, as a matter of fact. So things like this never really mattered back in the day. And I don't think they matter as much now either. But I think people are just being very loud about it. And that's why we kind of get that negative feedback when you get characters like 2B or the new girl from Stellar Blade. I forget her name right now. Characters like that, they get a little bit of flack, but I really think it's from a small minority of people that are just mad for whatever personal reasons they have in their own life. So now, games were always male dominated. They still are. If you look at the age group of games and the range of people that play video games, it's between 18 to 35. I think actually in a more recent study, it went up a little bit in a couple of years, and they say it's between like 36, 37 now is the top of the peak. So I guess that's just because people are getting older and still playing games, so that number goes up. But regardless, it's still a male-dominated audience. We have more females playing video games than ever before, but if you look at the overall broader spectrum of who's spending money on games, it's dudes. And when you have dudes playing games, you want to do things that appeal to guys. What appeals to guys? Simple man. I like boobs. You put them in a game. I look at the game. That's just how that works. Whether you like to admit it or not, some people want to act like they're above it. It's like, okay, well, then you can go ahead and pretend, or you can go ahead and be weird. I'm not saying every game needs it, but I'm saying when it is in a game, I don't think it should be a problem at all. I don't think developers should have to apologize for it. It's basically simple logic and common sense. You do things to appeal to your audience. If it works, you continue to do it. So if you have a male-dominated audience, then you should put things that predominantly appeal to males. That may be something like the equivalent of like a jump scare in a horror movie. It's kind of a cheap way to do things. But there's lots of cases where it's done incredibly well. It's almost part of the branding of the whole character, and it adds to it, not takes away or taints it in any way, shape, or form. Okay, now we're going to look at the opposite side of the spectrum. Is it just to appeal to males? No, women like sexy characters too. 9 times out of 10, if my girlfriend has the choice to pick a character in a game, she'll pick the more attractive one. I don't know anybody who has a choice in a video game and they go ahead and they pick the lesser attractive character of the two. Now, I'm not talking about when we have fun things like create a character in Dark Souls and you have people purposely trying to make the most ridiculous looking characters and stuff like that. And I'm not saying your character has to be attractive in a game. I'm just saying when given the choice, females, 9 times out of 10, are not going to pick the Shrek looking character. They're going to pick the Fiona looking character, if you know what I mean. Okay, so if that's the thing, and women don't really care about females looking good in a game, then why is this loud minority so loud and so heard? Well, I just think it's because social media nowadays gives people a much louder voice than they actually do have. So you get a small gang of people that get very loud and angry about something, and then that kind of just echoes and echoes, and that's how you get the backlash. But in all reality, I don't think anybody's really that mad about it. If you go right now and you watch on YouTube the reactions to the Stellar Blade trailer the first time when she's revealed in her outfit, and you look at the all-female reactions of it, nobody's upset. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's cool, or oh, that's a little provocative, but I like it. Like, nobody's mad about these things. So, that's why developers keep doing it. You put it in a game, it gets results, people like it. Why wouldn't you continue to do it? I feel like it happens less and less now because people are kind of scared to put that in a game, especially in the West. But when you do put it in a game and you do it tastefully, I really think it does add to it, not takes away. Or at the very least, like I said, it's like a neutral line. It's not doing anything to taint it or to make it lesser than what it already is. So, if we want to think about, am I wrong on all of this? Let's look at mods, because mods is something that's purely community driven, right? Mods isn't something that the developers in general have like their grip on, or at least a control on. So if you look at mods and you go to any of the top modding websites, the most popular mods for any game, if you literally just click most popular, 9 times out of 10 for any game are something to make the game more skimpy, or more add skimpier designs to the character, or make the outfits lesser, or you know what I mean? These are the type of mods that are the most popular ones. And why do you think that is? Because it's predominantly a male audience. And when they're given the choice, i.e. mods, the choice to make something any way they would like it to be, 9 times out of 10, they're making it more sexy. Why? Because that appeals to men. Now, I don't like it when you put the mods in and it's stupid. Like, you have a character and then they go and change it and it's like, looks ridiculous and it has completely takes away out of the game. Like I said, I'm not saying every character should go around with a big chest and a fat ass and look a certain way and have a skimpy outfit, and we should go back to the days of bikini armor. That's not what I'm saying at all. And if you're taking that as the whole point of what I'm getting at, then that's on you, not me. What I'm getting at is when it's added to a game, if it's done tastefully, if it fits the story, if it fits whatever, then I don't think it's a problem. And when given the choice whether to have that as part of the story or in the game, 9 times out of 10, what's going to happen? We're going to include it. So I don't see anything inherently wrong with it, and I don't see anything that we should be nagging on the developers for doing it. So now let's look at another spectrum of when we're given the choice. What do we pick? Skins in video games. Now, this is going to probably be a whole video I do at a whole nother day about just skins in video games and the cancer that is loot boxes and stuff like that. But when we're talking about given the choice of skins to purchase in a game, which skins get bought, do you think 9 times out of 10 more? I'm going to say it's the sexier ones. Even in games like Fortnite, you look at the skins they have now, and it's not by accident that the characters look a certain way that they do. So if skins are the predominantly highest selling thing in the DLC market in video games, and 9 times out of 10, when players given the choice over a sexy skin or a regular looking skin, which one do they pick? Then it's no wonder why these things are put in games, and it shouldn't be a problem that they are. If you go and you look at like fighting games, what's the number one skin pack that people wait for? And that's popular. And that comes out predominantly with every game, fighting game. The bikini one, right? There's always like a beach wear or a bikini. It's almost in every game. League of Legends, any big game where you get a consistent feed of skins, and when they're themed in a pack, the most popular one and the most weighted after one, and that's just not my preference. Go look at the statistics for yourself, or go look online, or go look at the videos and the views for this skin pack versus this one for the trailer or the DLC or the views on it, and see which ones are higher. People wait for those ones. Those are the ones people want. So these are things that people want in games anyways, and like I said, we can't get mad if they continue to give it to us, because we continue to buy it. And I'm not advocating for overpriced bullshit skins. I'm just saying, when given the choice, do you want A or B? Most people are picking, A or B, whichever one is better looking. Okay, now, this is something that's very important. Sexy characters don't ruin games, and they don't ruin immersion when done right. And I have a very few key examples that are very important, like 2B from Nier Automata. That girl walks around with her butt cheeks out jiggling for the entire game. You can literally explode your skirt off and walk around with your ass hanging out for the entirety of the game. And it does not take away from it at all. It does not detract from the fact that that is one of the best sci-fi stories ever told, period. Not just in video games, but across any medium, period. And that is a character whose core essence is built around not just her personality, but her sexuality. If you look at cosplay characters and popularity, there's a reason people like to dress up at her. She looks super cool. It's a very mix of like this weird gothic and everything else fashion, futuristic, Victorian, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's the sex appeal of the character that is almost part of the branding of that character. Not the franchise as a whole, but that character. Lara Croft, back in the day, another predominant example. She was popular not just because of the gameplay style, not just because of that was a new type of game at the time, but it was a female character. It was a female character dressed in a certain way to appeal to a certain audience, and that was the intent right from the beginning. So if you think about that, you can't really get mad. Who else? Let's take Tifa. Tifa, in the new Final Fantasy remake, in the scene where they're on the beach, that is pure fan service. But it's done well. Does it take away from the game? Does it make the game any less? Does it ruin the experience at all? Does it feel forced? I say no to all of those things. And yet they managed to include it, and everyone was happy about it. And if you pretend you're not, then that's on you, because it was a big deal when it came out and people were talking about it and it was cool. And that game was amazing, and not for those reasons, but that was definitely a cool part of it, and it added to it, and nobody was mad about it. So what's the problem? When it's done right, it fits into the game and it actually adds to it. Fan service can feel very forced, and there's games that are just purely fan service that don't feel right. But when you get characters like Bayonetta, where their whole branding, the whole entirety of the character is based around the sexuality of the character, and it doesn't detract from it whatsoever, and the whole game and every game that the character's in is amazing, and it fits into the character and the story and the lore, and obviously they're aiming at a certain audience, but females love Bayonetta too. That's a very popular game and a very popular character amongst female gamers. Nobody's mad at Bayonetta. So once again, a very good example of a character whose whole essence and aura is built around their sexuality, but it's okay and it doesn't matter. And like I'm saying, the point of what I'm saying right now is that there's certain brands and certain identities of characters where the sexualization literally adds to the character and makes it better and builds around what the whole character is. So once again, sexualization in a game or of a female character is nothing to be mad at. There's other characters where you look at Dante from Devil May Cry. That handsome bastard is always walking around with his shirt off or his shirt open, and the whole "I'm so cool" has always been a cool appeal of that character. That dude's a badass. And that's not a problem. No one ever got angry about the fact that the male characters are sexualized, right? So I'm not mad at it. As a straight male, I still think it's cool. And I'm not saying it's made for to appeal to even any kind of certain audience, but I'm just saying that character is sexualized, whether you say he is or he isn't. And nobody's mad at that or bats an eye at that or opens their mouth about that. Everyone's just like, look at this cool dude. No problem. Sexiness helps, but it's not necessary. So, like I said, you can have a character like Lara from Tomb Raider where any of her outfits that she wears, even if they aren't skimpy or sexualized, are fine. That character, I had her running around in a snowsuit for the last 2 games I played with her, or the last one. And it was no problem. I didn't care. It didn't take away from the character for me in any which way. I still had a lot of fun. The game was still amazing. I felt that it still was a very good way to tell the story of her. and gave her a lot of emotion. And there was moments where they gave us, the little glimpses of like, here's what she used to be like and could still be like in the future. And there was plenty of outfits that, if that's what you wanted to have her looking a little more sexualized, were available. And if you, once again, as my points before stand, look at the mods for that game, the most common ones and the most popular ones and the most downloaded ones are ones that just make her more sexualized. And I'm not saying you got to run around with the character naked. I'm just saying it's cool to see her back in her old outfit as before. At the end of the day, games are supposed to be fun. So I don't care if the character's a man, a woman, or a rainbow unicorn. You change the character or you play the character that you enjoy or however you like. We have enough games that exist in today's gaming atmosphere, or in today's gaming sphere, I should say, that you can play and find any kind of character in any kind of which way to do any kind of thing you want and enjoy it. If a certain character doesn't appeal to you, just move on. Play a different game. There's games like Baldur's Gate where if you want to look at the super woke and super anti-woke and both sides, and I'm not even getting into that argument or drama, and I hope none of you guys do either right now, but if you look at a game like Baldur's Gate, that game had something for everybody. You could walk around in full armor, or you could walk around fully naked. You could be a man, or you could be a woman, or you could be anything in between, not even human. So that game was a perfect example of sexuality done right. You had scenes that made waves across the internet, and I'm pretty sure even helped sell some copies of the funny bear sex, right? Okay, everybody knew about that scene, even people who didn't play the game. It was like a popular meme and everything. So that game appealed to everybody. And the sexualization and the amount of sex appeal that the game had and that all the characters had didn't take away from the game at all. It added to the game. It was a big part of it, and it added to it, and it made it better. And you could completely ignore those parts of it if you wanted to, or you could completely, indulge in those parts if you wanted to. You were given the option and the choice. And I think that's a perfect example of a game that did it in a perfect way that I don't see being repeated often, but I'm just saying there's an example of where you have over-sexualization and whatever the complete opposite of that would be, all in one game, and everybody was happy. So I think it's just because when certain games lean a certain way, like Stellar Blade, it's like everything is over hypersexualized. Certain people get upset about it, but like I said, that game and that brand, it's synonymous with the character now, and people are happy about it. It didn't take away from the game. The game was awesome. So, you should all go play Booty Blade now. Anyways, I think I'm done going on about all this. The main points I just wanted to make are that I don't see sexualization being a problem in a game. I don't think that when it's done and done right, it should be an issue to anybody. I think that people should be able to play characters however they want them to play. And I think that certain characters that are released where the whole brand identity kind of goes around the sexualization of the character is okay. You have the complete opposite of whatever that would be in many games that you can go play if that's not your thing. So, let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. And at the end of the day, video games are supposed to be about fun. So however you want to have your fun, have your fun. All right? Okay, cool. If you enjoyed this, I appreciate it. I appreciate you for sticking around. If you didn't enjoy this, I guess that's more your problem than mine. And I appreciate all of you regardless. I'm out.